Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Okay, so we are getting you ready for that meeting this morning, but there are some concerns going into it. I don't know if you would have heard, but we received it right here on Morning Barbados. So many people would have got that message as well, that WhatsApp message coming from the president of the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, Mary Ann Redmond, voicing what her challenges are. We also have this morning, along with the president of the BSTU, Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, we also have Leslie, who is a BSTU member. He is with the Frederick Smith Secondary School as well, a teacher there. Good morning to the both of you. Good to have you on such short notice. Good to see you, Mary. Good to see you, Leslie.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
All right, so let's get straight into it. Mary, I heard that voice note yesterday. It was just over 3 minutes long. We want you to give us a synopsis of what was in that voice note, talking about those concerns about this planned meeting.
Well, initially we had a meeting with officials from the Ministry of Education on Wednesday last week, and we had agreed to 10 meetings involving about 400 teachers in each instance. And those meetings were to discuss, or rather to provide the opportunity for teachers to discuss their concerns, make recommendations, and so on, going into a new school year in a COVID-19 environment. Those meetings were supposed to take place at 5 different locations so that the schools were zoned. The very next day, teachers received an email from the Chief Education Officer indicating that all of those plans had been changed, the plans that we had agreed to the day before. The unions had not been notified of these changes. And those 10 meetings would have been merged then into one full meeting for the secondary school teachers and one full meeting for the primary school teachers. The teachers' objections revolved mainly around the fact that they were concerned about their health and physical well-being in having now to be in a group of well over 1,000 persons at either of those meetings, especially the primary school teachers, who number about close to 2,000. They were concerned for their physical safety in those meetings. They were concerned also about the fact that the plans had been changed and the unions had not been notified, and they thought it was disrespect. They were concerned about the fact that no reasons had been given for the change of format of the meeting. And they were concerned too about the productivity of such a meeting, of such a large number of people taking place in 2.5 hours, and wondered about the practicality of their ability then to make the type of contributions that they had envisaged they would be able to make in the smaller meeting.
So what is the next step going forward? What do you expect to deal with today?
Well,
Will there be a meeting?
we had a meeting. I should indicate that we had a meeting of our membership yesterday. We had a Zoom meeting of the membership, very well attended, and the members decided that another area of concern, a very important area of concern, because we had asked for this at our meeting with the ministry on Wednesday, was the availability of Zoom facilities. And we wanted this to give teachers an option one, and certainly not to be prejudiced against teachers who have vulnerabilities, who have comorbidities, who felt that they could not in good conscience for their health attend such a meeting with well over 1,000 people. And we had asked that that consideration be made. That was not done either. And so our teachers yesterday decided that if the ministry were in a position to offer attendance at the meeting today with Zoom facilities, they would readily attend. In the absence of those facilities, they have decided that they were not willing to expose themselves, their health, and their well-being, even though they want to meet, and we have made that clear to the minister. We wrote a letter last night indicating that the teachers were interested in meeting, but the change in plans, the sudden change in plans with no prior notice, and the lack of availability of Zoom facilities too, in this day and age when that has been projected as the way to go, the use of technology, they have decided this was a decision taken by the members that they would not present themselves at the gymnasium today.
Okay.
So Leslie, you're a part of the membership. Give us the feeling at the meeting once you heard what was on the table in terms of this meeting, and the approach now by teachers like yourself about going to this meeting. How are you feeling?
All right, Shane. I think the membership is very, very disappointed that these unilateral changes were made. We had learned of what the original plan was, Plan A, and then we got an email from the Chief Education Officer at minutes to midnight conveying something totally different. And that is not the way we are feeling. That is not the way you engage those people who represent us. Unilateral changes, that is very disrespectful, and we are very concerned about that kind of modus operandi when you're in a discussion with people that there are agreements made, because as far as I understand, the original proposal it came from the ministry and we agreed with it. It's not that we gave them and we twisted the arm. They came up with the proposal, the original plan with the 5 meetings in 5 zones, a little over 400 people. So we are not very happy with that kind of modus operandi with people with whom we are entering discussions in good faith. That's one thing. The refusal, okay, we've been told to embrace the technology. This is the way online is the way the post-COVID world will work, a lot more online stuff, and we have to get accustomed to that and navigate that way. So we're told to embrace the technology, but yet there is an adamant refusal of the ministry to provide that facility, and some members saw it as a lack of inclusiveness, unwillingness to accommodate some teachers with comorbidities, even some teachers who might be feeling under the weather at this time. Why is it that facility, that online facility option to join the meeting and engage with the minister, because this is what teachers want to do, and contribute to the way going forward, why isn't that facility afforded teachers who, as the president was saying, the comorbidities, you're not feeling under the weather, you have your children to keep. Why can't such a simple thing be provided? And I'm saying you want to accommodate as many views as you can. You profess to be inclusive, but yet by not providing this facility, you are going to cut off a lot of people. And I'm saying, what would the empathetic employer do? What would be the concerned employer do? What would the reasonable employer do? What would the model employer do? I think that kind of employer would provide this online facility for teachers to engage with you. And membership is very clear. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. What you permit, you promote. What you allow, you encourage. What you condone, you own. And unions must be treated with respect. You cannot agree and have certain agreements, and then midnight the next day, you change them, you totally change them, and you deviate them. What we got bore very little resemblance to what the original plan that was proposed by the ministry. No prior warning, just a unilateral deviation. The membership is very, very, very upset about this. And we're saying our leadership, our union, the solidarity of teachers must be respected. And I don't know if this is an attempt to go above the union executive straight to members, and I cannot say if that is a ploy to undermine union solidarity. I cannot say that, so it'd be unfair of me to say that. But what I am saying is that the unions demand to be treated with more respect, and we are not going to be complicit in an event that to us is born of poor planning and wrapped up in disrespect.
Right.
All right. One of the things that I wondered as you spoke, two things really. If this facility were to be provided before the time this morning, would the members be willing then to join via some online platform? And I also wondered what this meant for your feelings about the new arrangements for going into a new school term. But both of you or one of you could respond.
No,
Madam President.
Okay. He's deferred. Go ahead.
As a member, I think if we got the news now that the online facility was going to be provided, those teachers who, yes, teachers would I think they would flock to that online facility, because as it was stressed, teachers do want to engage with the minister.
Okay.
We want to give our ideas, but it should be made clear that our ideas, our challenges, our recommendations and suggestions of the membership have been given to the leadership of the union, and those have been conveyed to the ministry.
Right.
Okay.
Now you want to get a word on that?
If I could just underscore really what Leslie has said, and to that extent, we wrote a letter after our meeting yesterday. This letter would have gone off to the minister at about 6:30 yesterday evening, indicating that we are willing to attend a meeting via Zoom this morning, to attend the meetings this morning, and for the primary school teachers, because we do have primary school members as well, via Zoom. In the absence of that, the teachers will provide their concerns, will continue to provide their concerns to the union executive, the officer corps, who will take them to the minister. But the teachers do want to meet. There's absolutely no disputing that. Their concern is their safety. Their concern is the disrespect shown. And this comes against a background of a lot of what happened last term, where during that the online teaching experiment, we sat down and agreed to a lot of conditions under which that teaching would take place, only to have what we agreed to turned over, and in every instance with no prior notification to the union. So what it does really is that it compromises the integrity of the union, and it erodes trust between the union leaders and the membership, and it erodes trust between the union and the ministry. And in these circumstances, in our present day conditions, that is the last thing that we need, because to move forward, to have the interest of all those who use school plans, be they teachers, students, ancillary staff, to have the interest of all of those people at the center of what we do, we have to work in a united way. We have to listen, we have to dialogue, we have to consult. But most importantly, what we agree on in good faith must be followed through. We understand the flexibility of the circumstances, and we understand that there's need some compromise and to deviate from the original path that you have planned. But still, when that is necessary, the respect, the consideration, the caring must be there in the form of doing the right thing. Notification.
Okay, let's pause here. Yeah, let's pause here. Ms. Redmond, Mr. Lett, we're going to take a break and we will come right back to the conversation.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're back with you at 6:41, and we are discussing what was to be a meeting with the Barbados, the BSTU, and this morning was supposed to be the first opportunity for secondary school teachers to have their say. But as you've heard from the BSTU representatives joining us this morning, there are concerns from the members. We've got Leslie Lett, and we also have Marianne Redmond, and we thank you both for joining us. You were pointing out some of the concerns there, and we wanted to look at some of the recommendations as we get ready to look at a new school term. So what can we look for going forward? The recommendations that would be most important to members.
Okay, in relation to how we have envisaged a new school year could look like, we sent a 5-page document to the Ministry of Education, and we must point out that in every instance, with every recommendation, there are problems. This COVID-19 environment is not an easy one to navigate. And as I was saying just before we broke, that one has to be very, very flexible because the conditions may change from day to day. And we put forward a number of scenarios to the ministry, one involving the potential of, well, let me say, the ministry has indicated that they want a blended approach for primary schools and secondary schools. Our recommendations actually facilitate such an approach. One is a revolving system where students would go to school on alternate weeks. And in the interim, they would be exposed to online instruction. This is because, of course, teaching must take place in an atmosphere where there is physical distancing. So, for example, if you have a class of 36 students, that is essentially at least 3 groups now that a teacher will be required when under normal circumstances he or she would be dealing with that entire group of 36. And so we have to find creative ways of being able to reach all of our students. So one was the attendance at school in alternating weeks. Another one was a shift system. And this shift system proposes that a certain cohort attends in the morning. You have disinfection and sanitization of the plant in the interim, and a cohort comes during the afternoon session. There is an alternative to that shift system where we have days on and days off, so that, for example, the students come to school Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The Tuesday and Thursday are left for disinfection and sanitization. And of course, on those days away from school, you have online instruction. Another recommendation that we made was a system of cohort lectures, whereby this would be geared towards the upper school students, the older, more mature students. We could, with physical distancing and the correct protocols, have them together in a large area like the hall. That frees up the rest of the school for the split classes in the lower school. We have the optional remote access education, where children can choose to come to school or not, do their online instruction at home instead, or we have as our final recommendation the continuation of fully remote access education, where of course we would continue in the way that we started last term, but in this instance now, it would be more complex insofar as we are not doing consolidation and revision. What we'll be doing now is teaching new materials, so that involves definitely the necessity, the prerequisite of all teachers and all students having access to teaching and learning in terms of devices, in terms of connectivity, in terms of the basic of electricity that some people in Barbados forget that some of our citizens lack access to. And all of that has to take place in an environment where we're very cognizant of the need for adequate and safe public transport now for the students, because you're going to have that volume of persons, not
Yeah.
before, yes, in the system, right, using the transport system, they would now be placed in that system, and then there are the implications of all of that. Um, we also looked at what could take place in the classroom in terms of whether there was a need for physical barriers like we have seen in some other countries, but we understand that this is extremely expensive. So it puts then the onus on the individual schools to ensure that the support staff have the materials that they need to be able to properly disinfect and sanitize, and to do so quickly, depending on what system is chosen. If there's going to be a shift system, the method of wiping down chairs and desks manually cannot be completed safely and efficiently with the numbers of ancillary staff in schools. So it has implications for that as well. And when we had our meeting last Monday with the Ministry of Health, they did indicate that the desks and chairs will form the major sources of contamination and potential infection. We have to look to our elimination of full assemblies in the school and other large gatherings, how lunch times are organized, and even in terms of school meals, packed lunches rather than how they're presently distributed. Efficiency of canteen services, those would have to be improved. And again, I underscore the need for proper sanitization. There will also be implications for increased staff allocations. Because if one teacher is expected now to teach three different groups that constituted previously one class, the implications are there for manpower needs as well. So it is really not clear cut. It is really not easy. It involves a lot of consultation and dialogue that must take place in an atmosphere of good faith and trust. And when we report things to, or other developments to our membership, we have to feel that what we have reported is true, is correct, and will remain as reported. And if there are changes, that we are given notice before we hear about it in the media or before something comes from the ministry in total contradiction to what we have agreed and what we have already communicated to our membership.
Mary and Leslie, we will want to hear from you tomorrow because we really hope that you find some middle ground today to sort out all of these challenges because there are so many, and this is why I'm hoping for a vaccine very soon because they want everyone to get back to school because this also poses a challenge for the parents as well handling those students. And a lot of these parents have to be at work, so there's still a lot to discuss. Very quickly, Shane, very quickly.
I'm saying that whatever teachers do, there is they don't only have teachers at the center of their thinking. They also have the whole school community, students, and people have to be disabused of the notion. People have to be disabused of the notion that the teachers don't care for the children. Everything that we do will have is to be conducive to better teaching and better learning. These environments are intertwined. You can't separate them.
Agreed. We'll talk about this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we still got to talk about the guidelines.
That all that we do in the interest, for the protection and for the welfare of every user of a school plant. And we cannot underscore that enough. Interest, protection, welfare of everyone on the school plant.
All right. So we'll see you all tomorrow for sure. Because, as I said, a lot more to digest. And Cassandra, we still got to look at those guidelines for the safe reopening of schools with the BSTU too.
Absolutely, that's coming up.
Those guidelines are old. We are now working on the new guidelines. We had a meeting. Those guidelines were for the return of the 11 plus students and the SB students. We are now presently working on new guidelines, and to that extent, we had a meeting last Monday with the Ministry of Health.
Okay.
So the new guidelines are not out yet.
Well,
we're going to have to have a short series with you then. So we've just committed you to more time with us. But thank you so very much for spending that time this morning. Leslie Lett, BSTU member, and Marianne Redmond, president of the BSTU. Shane, clearly there is a lot to discuss here, and we look forward to all the entities and the critical stakeholders coming together and meeting in the middle somewhere so there can be a meeting of the mind. Yes?
Morning, morning,